We have neglected our defense, our intellectual, ideological, religious defense. We have left it to people who are not able to do it. And this is because we would rather buy a new car, spend $10,000 or doing a living room or a kitchen, or buy jewelry for our children on the day we get married, right? But we will not put that money towards our defense, our ideological defense. What makes us special? We, the Muslims, if we have any value, it is because of Islam, not because of our skin color, not because of our clothing or culture. No. This region was Hindu or Buddhist. Not very long ago, this region was not even Muslim. Here comes the angel of death. So, and he's waiting. So, my point is, when you get married, brothers and sisters, you get, you spend like hundreds of thousands of rupees on a wedding, on the wedding day. Why? Log kya kahenge, right? लोग क्या कहेंगे? हमने अगर ऐसी शादी में की तो लोग क्या कहेंगे? कपड़े अच्छे नहीं हुए तो लोग क्या कहेंगे? To hell with your culture and your weddings. To hell with them. Because of your culture, because of your lavish weddings, there are poor people who cannot get married like you, and they end up not getting married at all. Because they are suffering from log kya kahenge, right? To hell with this culture, this way of you wasting money. So now, today I'm going to ask you to put your money where it will talk on the day of judgment. Instead of spending 100,000 or 1 million rupees or 2 million rupees on your wedding, on your birthday party, or on a car or something like that, give this money to these young brothers and sisters so that they can continue with this groundbreaking work, bringing you people like this who can actually save the souls of your children from hellfire. Because these kids, they have doubts you cannot clear. You are not able to do it. But there are those who are able to do it. They deal with these problems on a daily basis, and they can only come here when you facilitate it. If you really truly care about your children, your future generations, then this is the time to make a contribution. All I want from you today is 2 million rupees. Okay? So I need 20 people to raise their hands and say, I will give 100,000 rupees each. 1 lakh rupiya, what we call 1 lakh rupiya, which you can easily spend on anything. 1 lakh rupiya ka aajkal kya milta hai? Kya milta hai 1 lakh rupiya ka? Sorry? iPhone? Subhanallah, there you go. iPhone. 1 lakh rupiya ka iPhone milta hai, absolutely. Aur kya milta hai? Lehenga. Right? Lehenga. Lehenga or भी महंगा, right? Subhanallah, absolutely crazy. And you know what? You're gonna wear that lehenga once in your life. You can't wear that thing again. If you were seen wearing that lehenga on the street, you know what I mean, right? You know what I'm talking about. You're not gonna wear that thing again. To hell with it. Don't buy it. Go to your husband, the man you're getting married to, tell him, I'm not wearing anything like that. I'm going to give that money for a cause. Yeah, I don't care about these papers. So I'm finishing very soon anyway. The Maghrib time is getting close. Before the Adhan, I need 20 hands going up. Sisters and brothers, don't hesitate. 100,000. If you don't have the money, go and bring the money and give it to Shifa Students Society so that they can continue with this work. This is groundbreaking work. In Islamabad, there are only 2 organizations I know of that are doing groundbreaking work when it comes to youth, when it comes to the youngsters. One is Youth Club and the other one is Shifa Student Society. These are the 2 organizations that need your support, and this one in particular needs your support more so than others, right? So who wants to give me the first one to raise the hand will get the reward for all those who follow. So we have very little time. Who wants to give me Takbir? Takbir! I have one sister and she will get the reward for everyone. And if you keep putting your hands, encouraging others, you will get the rewards of those who come after you. So who else wants to give me another 100,000 rupees? 1 lakh. Takbir! Two hands. Brothers, मुझे आपसे कोई उम्मीद नहीं थी वैसे भी. आपने मेरा मुंह काला करना ही करना है. Who wants to give me 1 लाख रुपया from the brother side? अभी बोलूं ना आपकी शादी कराता हूं तो आप माशाल्लाह एकदम. Are you serious? Are you serious? माशाल्लाह तकबीर. एक जवान आ गया माशाल्लाह. अल्लाह ताला आपको खुश रखे. हमारे जवान माशाल्लाह are known for their their passion, especially Pak Fort Zindabad. Mashallah, they're doing a lot of good work around the world and even securing this country. There is no perfection in this world. I know there is no perfection, but credit must be given where it's due. So hamare Jawan Zindabad, mashallah. So who else wants to give me another 100,000 rupees from the brother's side? आज मैं आप लोगों के जेब खाली करके छोड़ूंगा. Who wants to give me another 1 लाख रुपया यार? You can get it. What, motorbike? One motorbike, iPhone और या Samsung कितने का? Galaxy जो नया आया है 80,000 exactly. और ये फोन जो है आपका कभी आप मिसाल के तौर पे गुम भी हो जाते हैं ना अक्सर फोन, राइट? तो अल्लाह सुब्हानहू ताला ये पैसे आपसे किसी और तरीके से निकाल लेंगे. This money will be gone somewhere else. Like कई दफा इस तरह होता है कि आपसे अच्छा right ठीक है okay really just few more seconds inshallah. So I had 3 hands so far. At least give me 10 people, 10 lakh rupiya, job done. There's one more sister. Takbir. I want 6 more hands going up. 6 sisters, don't hesitate. If you have a rich husband, a rich father, a rich brother, just go and take the money from his account. Don't even tell him. There is another brother there. Takbir. May Allah reward you, brothers. And please, when you, those of you who are pledging, make sure you leave your details with the volunteers so that they can get in touch with you later on. So I need 5 more hands before this brother comes with a toka and stops me, right? So another 5 hands. I need another 5 hands. Brothers and sisters, I'm not going to leave you until I get another 5 hands, right? I need to get 10 lakh rupees pledges tonight, right? And don't think too much. Seriously, this money, let me explain something to you very quickly. I know Maghrib Azans are going on, so I'll continue. This project or this funding you will provide, don't belittle it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in a hadith, "La tahkiranna min al-ma'ruf shay'an, walau an talqa akhaka bi wajhin taliq." Do not belittle any of your good deeds. Any good deeds, don't belittle. Even smiling at your brother, even meeting your brother with a smile, don't belittle it. And I'll give you an example. How this 100,000 rupees may take you to Jannah without you realizing it. On the day of judgment, you might wake up to a shock. Right? Very quick example. Abdurrahim Green, right? The white convert English brother, Abdurrahim Green. You know him? Yes? I know, I'm a witness that he has brought thousands of people to Islam, if not hundreds. Thousands of people to Islam. I know, I'm a witness. I was doing a TV appeal once, and our sister called in, an English convert sister. She called in and she said, I came to Islam some years ago. We asked her, how did you come to Islam? She said she listened to Abdurrahim Green in the park, preaching Speaker's Corner in London. She heard him speak and Islam entered her heart, and Green doesn't know about it. He doesn't know about it. And she said, now I have 6 children. All of them are memorizing the Quran. Allahu Akbar. Think about that. Just think about that. And Green doesn't know about it. And let me tell you about someone who is even more important than Green. Someone who gave dawah to Green, because Green was a non-Muslim. And there was an Egyptian man once upon a time on a boat somewhere with Abdurrahim Green. He passed him a copy of the Quran. Read it. And he walked away. Green read the Quran. Cut the long story short, he came to Islam. And him coming to Islam meant thousands of other people coming to Islam. And this Egyptian man who gave him the Quran on the day of judgment will give the shock of his life. When everyone will be shaking, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ. You will run from your families on that day, day of judgment. When you will be running from your families, on that day, Green will be told, look behind you. Or that man, the Egyptian man, will be told, look behind you. An army of people have come to Islam by a little deed. So your 100,000 rupees, you don't know what it can do. You will only find out on the day of judgment. So don't belittle. Don't cling on to your money. If you have saved this money for an iPhone or for new alloy wheels for your car or new kitchen or new cushions or new sofa or new jewelry set or something like that, let it go. Let it go, give it fi sabilillah, and Allah will multiply it anyway. So who wants to give me another 100,000 rupees, inshallah? Very quickly, I have 5 people who have pledged. I need 5 more. Brothers and sisters, takbir. There's another sister, 4 more and we're done. 4 more people. Jago. उठो. वो इकबाल का क्या शेर है? उठो. क्या शेर है वो? उठो मेरी दुनिया के गरीबों को जगा दो. ये सब गरीब ही बैठे हैं सामने जो हाथ भी उठा रहे अपना. ये पता आप गरीब क्यों हैं? गरीब इसलिए नहीं है कि आपकी जेब में पैसे नहीं है या आपके अंदर ताकत नहीं है. गरीब इसलिए नहीं है कि आपके अंदर करेज नहीं है, वो हाथ उठाने वाली करेज. तकबीर. ये देखें, ये अमीर लोग, ये सही अमीर लोग हैं, राइट? 3 more people I need. This is what you call iman and passion. They don't think, they put their hand. The difficult part, let me explain something to you. मुश्किल काम पता क्या है? अपना हाथ उठाना. हाथ उठाना मुश्किल है. उसके बाद अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला जो रास्ते आपके लिए खोलेंगे, आपको खुद समझ नहीं आएगी. सिर्फ अपनी फैमिली के पास जाइए, अपने खानदानों के पास जाइए. वन मोर, अपनी फैमिली, दिस सिस्टर है, अपनी फैमिलीज के पास जाइए, कहिए कि मैंने प्लेज किया है 1 लाख रुपया इस काम के लिए, दावत के काम के लिए. कुछ लोग इंटरनेशनल दावा कर रहे हैं और वो इंटरनेशनल स्पीकर्स को बुला रहे हैं और दावती एक्टिविटीज पूरा साल करते हैं. उनके लिए हमें ये, और यू डोंट नो हु माइट कम टू इस्लाम बाय दिस वर्क. यू हैव नो आइडिया. सो डोंट बिलिटल इट. आपकी फैमिली से ही आपको 1 लाख रुपया मिल जाएगा, गारंटीड. 10 हजार. Your cousins, your friends, they will give you that money. So who wants to do it, inshallah ta'ala? I don't want you to bring it. Takbir. MashaAllah, sisters are smashing it today. There's another sister there. Takbir. अच्छा तकबीर तो बोल दो. अच्छा 2, ये 1 हाथ है, 2 हाथ है. 2 people. May Allah reward you. Takbir. MashaAllah, now we're getting somewhere. We have 11 now. We have 11 hands. We have hit the target for tonight. I need more hands going up. Who else wants to do it? Takbir. May Allah reward you, sister. 12. I need 8 more before we go for Maghrib, and we pray Maghrib happily, inshallah ta'ala. Anyone who wants to do it? Anyone else? There's another brother. May Allah reward you. Takbir. Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. So now we have 13. Give me 2 more and we're done. 15 hands for 100,000 rupees each. 1 lakh rupiah. Go to your families, speak to your cousins, your friends, your colleagues, whoever, you will have the money. Pakistan is one of the most generous places on the planet. इस मुल्क के लोगों ने जो जिस किरदार का जो नमूना पेश किया फ्लडिंग के दौरान, जब फ्लड हुआ था पाकिस्तान में, 2010 में हुआ था, नहीं 2005 में जलजला हुआ था, राइट, और 2010 में सैलाब आया था. इन 2 कैटास्ट्रोफीज के बाद पाकिस्तान के अंदर लोगों का ईमान खत्म हो गया था. लोगों ने कहा था कि ये मुल्क, ये कौम मुर्दा है, मर चुकी है, इस कौम का जमीर मर चुका है, इस कौम के अंदर से जो है वो एक जो जज्बा है किसी की मदद करने का मर चुका है. लेकिन इन 2 वाकयात के बाद जो लोग ये बातें करते थे उनके मुंह बंद हो गए. पूरी दुनिया हैरान हो गई कि ये कौम इतनी जिंदा कौम है कि लोग ट्रक भर भर के जो है वो मुजफ्फराबाद के इलाके में, बालाकोट के इलाके में लेके जा रहे हैं. मैंने अपनी आंखों से देखा. Because I was here, I saw it with my own eyes. ये जिंदा कौम है. Someone needs to shake it. किसी ने इसको हिलाना है, झंझोड़ना है, और ये कौम इतनी जबरदस्त कौम है कि इस कौम को हराया नहीं जा सकता. तो आपसे इल्तिजा है कि गिव मी 2 more lakh rupees and that's it, we're done. Who wants to do it? Takbir. 1, and there's another one. May Allah reward you. Takbir. So we have pledged for 1.5 million rupees. Please do not sit on these pledges. Go home, work hard, speak to family, speak to friends, and you will have the money. And this money, you cannot imagine how far this money can go. Even bringing these people into this country, wallahi, speaking to your children, your masses, and it's being recorded, is going to go online. Thousands of people will benefit from this work. You don't know what it can do for you on the Day of Judgment. Thank you so much for your response. May Allah reward you. And those of you who want to give little amounts, 50,000, 20,000 rupees, 10,000, if that's what you can afford, go to the volunteers, tell them this is what you want to do, and it will be accepted, and Allah will put it on your scale. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Just to make sure the pledge forms being distributed on both sides, and the sisters on the brother's side. All of those who do want to contribute, please fill them up and give them back. You can also give it back at the registration desk if you don't find this brother or sister who gave it to you. Right? Thank you very much. Please submit all pledge forms at the registration desk. Please submit all pledge forms and evaluation forms at the registration desk. Thank you very, very much. All people are requested to please enter Hall A as we are about to proceed to the next talk of the night.
Want to acquire authentic Islamic knowledge, but don't know where or how to start? Islamic Online University provides you with the golden opportunity to study the various branches of Islamic studies from the comforts of your home. Now, you get to study at your own time schedule and at a pace that suits you best. IOU is the brainchild of Dr. Bilal Phillips, who envisioned an institution that would offer undergraduate and postgraduate courses online and completely tuition-free. Choose from the widest range of programs that you can ever imagine. Bachelor's in Islamic Studies, Intensive Arabic Program, Global Quran Memorization Program, Bridge to Master's in Islamic Studies, Bachelor's, Certificate, and Diploma in Psychology, Education, Islamic Finance, Business Administration, and Information Technology, and the Crown, Master's in Islamic Studies. Our syllabus is based on the bachelor's degree program of Madinah University, Omdurman Islamic University, Al-Azhar University, and other reputable Islamic institutions. Your journey to acquire Islamic knowledge is just a click away. IOU is globally accredited. No traveling required. Save time and money. Study according to your own schedule. Assignments, tests, and exams conducted online to help you ace each course. Audit stream for those who have no time for exams. Textbooks and Islamic resources are completely free. Study under the guidance of highly qualified scholars. Enlighten yourself with the power of knowledge. Get access to live sessions, lectures, audios, and much more. Customize your own study plan and pick anywhere between 2 to 9 courses per semester. If you are looking for something even more flexible, do not despair. We have got you covered. IOU offers a completely free online diploma consisting of more than 35 courses. Say goodbye to time constraints. Join the world's first tuition-free Islamic university with a massively diverse student body from around the world. Islamic Online University, changing the nation through education. Register now and get started. Visit www.iou.edu.gm for more details.
If you could all just settle down, we'll move on to the last speaker of the night. All right, our last speaker of the night is a Jamaican Canadian Islamic scholar with a BA from the Islamic University of Medina, an MA from the King Saud University in Riyadh, and a PhD in Islamic theology from the University of Wales. He has spent 10 years teaching Islamic studies and another 18 years lecturing Arabic as well. He's also written and translated over 50 books and also contributed heavily to various Islamic programs. He's the founder of Islamic Online University, his greatest achievement, which resulted in his being included in a Jordanian publication of being among the 500 most influential Muslims. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our last speaker of the night, Dr. Bilal Phillips, on stage, please. Thank you.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be on the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and on all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. The topic of this evening is Islam and liberalism. Islam and liberalism. For those who haven't taken Philosophy 101, liberalism may be for them a vague and generic term which does need to be clarified before we address the position of Islam relative to liberalism. And why it is important is because there is an effort being made to promote what may be called, or what is being called, liberal Islam. Liberal Islam, as distinct from cultural Islam, conservative Islam, traditional Islam, Orthodox Islam. There are many terms being used today to describe different trends amongst Muslims. Now, if we look at the concept of liberalism, of course, where it came from, it's from basically the 7th century. The first person to promote the ideas of liberalism was John Locke, an English philosopher. And those ideas were further developed by a Scottish philosopher by the name of Adam Smith. And these are among the big figures in Western philosophy. Now, the basic definition of liberalism may be divided into two parts, each related back to the founder's thoughts. In the case of John Locke, he presented what was called, or what is called, classical liberalism, which basically focuses on personal freedoms, like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, etc. The other aspect of liberalism that we have to consider is concerned with social equality. We call it social liberalism, which focuses on civil rights and gender equality. On civil rights and gender equality. As a basis for implementation of liberalist ideas, they state that it must have as its foundation a government which is limited by law, meaning that its laws are not arbitrary. The person who governs or rules the country doesn't come up with a law today and tomorrow he can change it and just do anything he wants. There is a system of governance which ensures that the laws are applicable to everybody. And it should be, according to them, democratic. So it must have these two components: a government limited by law and that it be democratic. So now when we look at Islam in relationship to liberalism, this concept whose origin, the Latin word liber, means free. So this is where it connects up with our general theme of the conference, born free or freedom in its various aspects. This is the connecting point. And if we look at the attack on Islam today, the different directions from which Islam as a system, as a religion, etc., is undermined or maligned or distorted, it is focused in these areas, either areas of civil rights or areas of gender equality. And in fact, the gender equality tends to take the biggest portion of that attack. And as such, because once you start to talk about gender equality, now you're talking about women's rights, feminism, and connected thoughts. So the frontal attack on Islam with regards to gender equality is focused on women and their issues. If we go back to the first civil rights, first aspect of the liberal attack, and I should point out that as an effect or an attempt is being made to create this other category of Islam, which will be called liberal Islam. This is not something actually new. The idea of dissecting a religious group and, breaking it down into segments. Jews also went through this division. So today you have, ultra-Orthodox, then Orthodox, then liberal. Then there are a series of conservatives, a series of different categories of Jews. And this division, it served its purpose, and the Jews have accepted it, live with it. And in the same way, that attempt is being made to apply these kinds of divisions among Muslims. But for most Muslims, we oppose this in that we hold that Islam is one. there's no such thing really as a conservative Muslim and a liberal Muslim. We just have Muslims who are either following Islamic teachings and practicing it as closely as they could, or Muslims who are not. They are lazy, they are of modern thought, don't feel that they have to do everything or whatever. They can make whatever excuses they want, but they don't represent Islam, because whatever they're doing is in conflict with Islamic teachings. So we can't say that we have another version of Islam which is in conflict with Islamic teachings. That doesn't make sense. So really, there's just Islam. From the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, there were people who practiced Islam to a T. And at the same time, among the Prophet ﷺ's companions, there were those who drank alcohol, those who fornicated, those who committed adultery. They are Sahaba. You know, we don't take them as examples, but they are human beings capable of making mistakes, etc., lapses in judgment and all the other types of things, not as strong as the others. So we don't use that variation in human practice and ability to stick with a way of life as a basis for creating different compartments of Islam. So when we look at the civil rights issues, one of the biggest areas is that of capital punishment. And also we can add to it corporal punishment. Capital punishment existed in the West all the way up until the 20th century. You know, in the 50s and onwards, lawmakers in the West began to step back from capital punishment. And this is a way of looking at the penal system and how effective it was. They concluded that killing the murderer doesn't bring back the murdered person, but you've just killed somebody else. Now there's two dead people instead of one. So since life, I mean, most of the people who are looking into this were secular democratic elements of the society. Their concern was preserving life. And this is part of the government's role, to preserve life. So they argued that the reason why these people were committing these crimes could be traced back to the society. Something happened in their childhood, parents treated them this way, school happened, these different things happened in their life. The society contributed to creating this individual who is now murdering somebody else. So it's the society who is at fault. So that individual's life shouldn't be taken. It isn't reforming the society. It's not changing the society. These were their arguments. So they started the process of repealing the various laws on capital punishment. However, till today, not all of the states in the US, for example, have gone this route. Many of them, if not most of them, have, but still you have states that hold their ground and are still applying capital punishment. During the civil rights era, when it was shown statistically that if a black person committed a particular crime and a white person committed that same crime, the likelihood was that the black person would be killed and the white person would be jailed and eventually let off. So when they showed these kind of statistics, then the movement towards repealing laws on capital punishment got a boost, and they stepped forward and pushed it into the UN, and then the UN has adopted it as part of their charters, right? Muslim countries may not have signed in on that, but it is in UN Charter now. They promote the idea that, capital punishment should be abolished. From the Islamic perspective, of course, we all know that capital punishment is in the Quran, as it was in the Bible. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. This is the law which we believe as Muslims that God revealed to humankind. So when we're taking the liberal route, we cannot say that the cancellation of the law for capital punishment, cancellation of that law, can itself be called Islam. So if we say that is among the principles of liberal Islam, then that's proof that what we're calling liberal Islam is not Islam. It is something else. The realities of Western thought with regards to penal reform, etc., is that letting the murderer back into society in so many occasions, on so many occasions, those let out, and you can have in places like the UK where people may murder and within 2 years they're out. Good behavior, all kinds of things can be considered. Why? Because the jails are full to the brim. They've even rented ships to keep criminals on. In the US, they're going private. They're allowing private companies now to set up and run jails because the people who should have been executed have remained in circulation. They're back out in the society. And how many of them, what percentage of them are what they call repeat offenders? They've come out and killed more people. So jails in general have not achieved, they've failed totally to achieve the concept of reformation. They said this place should not be a place of punishment. It should be a place for reforming members of the society who have, gone astray, whatever. We want to reform them so they come out as better people. But reality is that when people go in jail, they get a chance to now have as their friends, their cellmates, whatever, criminals maybe even worse than themselves. Criminals who got away with this crime or got away with that crime, and encourage them when they come out to do more crimes. You go in as a petty thief, you only stole from a corner store. Then you sit with somebody who robbed a bank, or maybe 5 banks. He made lots of money, had a nice life, and he tells you about it, how great it was. Then what are you thinking? When I come out, I'm not going to rob? No, you're going to think, yeah, I'd like to get some of that too. So you come out a worse criminal than you went in. Very little reformation is taking place. It is only in the cases where we see it on a larger scale, is in the cases where people, especially in the US, etc., Canada, UK, where people convert to Islam. This is where we see reformation taking place. And why America, in spite of its attitudes towards Islam, etc., doesn't stop the promotion of Islam in the prisons. And so tens of thousands of people every year in the prisons of America accept Islam. And when they come out, they've seen the statistics. The chances of them becoming repeat offenders drops drastically. It's not to say that some of them don't still come out, end up back in prison again next year or the year after, whatever. That happens too. But the percentages indicate that Islam has reformed such a large percentage of those who convert. So this is where the Reformation is taking place. Not in the system as it exists and what is offered in the jails to reform the prisoners. It is those who accept Islam, or some of them who find God in prison. You know, Jesus visit them in the jail cell and they become born again Christians. They leave, and similar factors also cause them to not be among the repeat offenders. But religion plays a major role in reforming criminals. So the position of Islam with regards to corporal punishment and capital punishment for those who commit the crimes which require capital punishment according to Islamic law. This position of Islam, we believe, arguably can make a difference in society. It's not to say it is the only way to make a difference, but it can and it does make a difference in society. So while the West might look at, in terms of corporal punishment, the cutting off of the hands of the thief, they like to say the hacking off or the chopping off. They like to use these other kinds of terms which, you know, emotionally are more, you know, touchy, hacking off, you know. And nobody's taking a saw and hacking off anybody's hand. It's not done like that. It's done surgically. Anyway, the point is that while making an issue about this, and there is a site on the internet dedicated to the hand. And when you get on the site, it will show you the miracle of the hand, how it functions. And we have, as scientists in the fields of robotics, they've tried to mimic the abilities of the hand. They've gone a long way, but the human hand is way beyond what they have reached. So they show the human hand, you know, anatomically, and its movements and what it's capable of, and distinction between it and the ape hands and other. And then at the end of it all, they say, and Muslims hack it off. You know? So it wasn't about the miracle of the hand, it's about Muslims hacking off hands. Reality, of course, and I lived in Saudi Arabia for 20 years, and I'm not saying everything about Saudi Arabia is fine and dandy, everything is wonderful. No, there are issues there too. But I know from personally living there for 20 years that it is a safe place from theft. A place where personally I lived there and never latched up my front door the whole time. I locked it. But we weren't worried about latching up everything. You know, coming from the West, from Canada, living in the States, etc., this is unthinkable. Everybody who gets into their home, they have all kinds of alarm systems they put up covering all the windows, and, you know, double locks and triple locks on the doors, and you know, that is standard. I remember seeing a a film on TV. It was, I've forgotten the name of the program now. It was Candid Camera. It used to be shown back in the 70s and 80s, Candid Camera. What they did in New York, downtown, they left the car. And then they had a camera recording what was happening with the car. And then they showed, you know, over a period of about 2 or 3 days, they did a fast, you know, showing of what took place. So you see people walk by, look at the car, check it this way, that way, they go. Then they come back again, they check it that way. Then you see somebody breaking off a piece, getting inside the car, taking out the radio, you know, as people are passing. Eventually, to the point they took off the wheels. They stripped the car. In about 3 days' time, the car was stripped to just the skeleton. You know? And this is in broad daylight. This is not at night. The camera was not recording at night. This is during the day, the daytime. People are walking up and down. That's the reality. You know, a thief, they slap you on the hand if it's the first time. You know, if you're a colored person, you're not white, then it may be more than just a slap. But you're in and out, you know. It's a turnstile. Also, one of the big forces that are coming at us in a big way in the area of civil rights is that of homosexuality. This is the big one, you know. Obama's last trip was across Africa, visiting the heads of the African states, meeting with them in Addis Ababa. His main message was what? Allow homosexuality. That was his main message. Because most of the African states don't allow it. It is illegal. It's a crime, punishable by jail time and all kinds of other things. So he was coming to try to convince them that they should accept homosexuality. So with these civil rights, homosexuals have managed to penetrate all segments of Western society today, to such a degree that I remember when I was in Canada 3 years ago, they passed a bill allowing the teaching of homosexuality to children in kindergarten. That's Canada. I know many of you say, we want to go to Canada. No, that's what you're taking your children into. You're going to put them in classes where they will be teaching homosexuality from kindergarten. This is in government schools. Teaching kindergarten. You might wonder, well, how in the world they're going to teach homosexuality to little kids there? How they do it is very subtle. They have a book there. There are many books, but among the books in Canada, US, is the book called My Two Dads. My Two Dads. So the book goes, it talks about Johnny who has a dad and a mom, and Tommy who has two dads. Right? And then it focuses on Tommy with his two dads, how they take him here, they take him there, to the beach, to the park, to the this and the that, and you know, life with Tommy's two dads is wonderful. It's even better than the life of Johnny. So they don't go into how you can have two dads. They just give you this reality here, you know. So it becomes something acceptable in the minds of the children that you could have two dads, and of course they have two moms too. My two moms, you know, gender equality. So this is what such beliefs entail. So when we're talking about liberalism, we're talking about opening up to these kinds of developments. And in the area of gender equality, I would need another how many lectures to deal with the issues of gender equality. And I'm sure you've heard many which deal with the issues of hijab and education, divorce, sexual segregation, polygamy, inheritance, the 2-to-1. All of these are issues for liberal Islam. So you will find where liberal Islam, so-called liberal Islam, has succeeded, places like Tunisia and Egypt, where polygamy is either banned or made so difficult it's not possible. And also in the area of inheritance, some quote-unquote Muslim countries have also gone with the 50-50 position of the West. In inheritance, 50% goes to the males, 50% to the females. And this is considered to be fair, equal, and liberal. So we can see that we have a major challenge before us in terms of liberalism. And the reality is that we need to understand why this liberal approach is not acceptable. It has evolved in the West. These ideas, these concepts have evolved in the West. And they match the secular democratic evolution of governance in the West. However, when you take them out of the West and you try to impose them in the Muslim world, we have a different dynamic. The roles of males, for example, is much greater than the roles of females in terms of responsibility and maintenance. Where a man in a marriage is required to provide for his wife, take care of her completely. She is not required to work. He doesn't have the right to send her out to work. So all that is being inputted is from him. So as a husband, that is his primary role. He has a role of providing for the woman, and the woman doesn't have that role of providing. She has a role of taking care of the home, looking after what's there. Not to say that doesn't have value, but in terms of the finance, he is the one who makes the greater financial input. Furthermore, if there is a sister, father is dead, he's responsible for looking after his sister. He's responsible for looking after the females of his family who don't have males to look after them. So he has a greater responsibility which females don't have. If they choose to do it, they can do it, but it's not a requirement for them. So with that additional responsibility, the division of the inheritance takes into account that additional responsibility. So when in the West it might sound very fair and more just that it's 50-50, in that society where a woman has to take care of herself the same way as a man has to. The man is not obliged to do any of this. They come into the marriage as two partners, each one working and adding, and in terms of their family, they don't have any additional responsibilities. So yeah, 50-50 makes sense there. But when you take it out of that context and you try to put it in the Muslim world, that has a different dynamic, then it doesn't work. It becomes unfair. Though 50-50 sounds fair, in this context, it's not fair. 2-to-1, it's fair. So likewise, when we look at all of the other issues, you will find that it is an issue of the society and the rules governing the societies. Not that we necessarily point to the Western society and say, well, no, you're wrong in doing this, and that is necessarily evil or whatever. but we recognize that those circumstances are different. In some cases, of course, the promotion of homosexuality, etc., of course, we look at that as being wrong. You know, we take a strong stance against it. We can't impose our views on them, but we have to respect their right to make that decision for themselves, as they should respect the right for us to make our decision. So, in concluding, the Islamic position is, as I stated in the beginning, that Islam is one. We have no conservative and liberal. We have no orthodox and unorthodox. We just have one Islam. So the main point is knowing the religion, knowing its principles, and very important for us to understand reasons behind its principles. So in our society, the society should be educated as to why Islam has prescribed these things. It's not just enough to know, especially in these times where half the world is attacking us. You know, it is an important part of the education that everyone who comes up should understand the rationale behind it. When Islam was a major power in the world, there was no need to go into these kinds of explanations, but we are in a different time. And in these times, we need to bring into the schools, from the earliest levels, clarifications, understandings behind the laws and principles governing Islam. And that's the only way that we can wipe out or eradicate the concept of liberal Islam. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Bilal Phillips, for that wonderful talk. I'd just like to inform our audience that in 5 minutes' time, we will have a small question and answer session with both our speakers, Brother Imran Rashid and Dr. Bilal Phillips. So if you have any questions, please put them down on a piece of paper, and inshallah, we'll begin shortly. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings.
If anyone needs chits to write down the questions on, please raise their hands. Someone will approach you and give you a chit on both sides, brothers and sisters.
Be on the last messenger of Allah. I'd like to welcome you to the IOU experience, brothers and sisters in Islam. This is an opportunity for you to fulfill the prophetic command: seeking knowledge is compulsory for every Muslim. Talabul ilmi faridan ala kulli Muslim. The Islamic Online University is an opportunity for you to access Islamic knowledge at your own convenience. It is tuition free for the BA level and absolutely free for the diploma level. For the diploma, we have over 28 courses that you can study from without any prerequisites. You don't need a high school diploma, or you don't have to be a certain age. It is for any and everybody. It is an introduction to Islamic knowledge and Islamic learning. The BA, on the other hand, is an undergraduate course in Islamic studies, taken from the curriculums of the Islamic University in Medina, Azhar University in Egypt,
Omdurman Islamic University in Sudan. The best of what is in those curriculums is combined in the Islamic Online University's curriculum. It is offered in English medium, one of the few courses available online where a BA can be studied in English. Arabic is a subject which everyone has to study, and you will get a working knowledge of Arabic to be able to read and understand Arabic, to hear and understand Arabic, to speak to some degree. But the course fundamentally covers the content of the traditional Usul-ud-Din and Sharia programs, with an additional benefit of courses in other supportive areas like Islamic psychology, teaching methodology, Islamic economics, Islamic banking and finance, Islamic management, and so on and so forth. A variety of other courses that helps to round out the student, giving him or her the ability to benefit the community on a much higher level. We have, along with our standard 48 48 course curriculum for the BA. We have, along with it, minors, where you take another semester of study, 6 courses, 5 or 6 courses in an area of your choice that you can specialize in. We call it a minor. So you graduate with a BA in Islamic Studies with a minor in education. And then minor in education, you will take the courses in child psychology, curriculum development, classroom management, as well as pedagogy and other specialized courses for the field of education. So we welcome you to take this opportunity and sign up in the Islamic Online University's BA program, where you only have to pay a registration fee. All your courses are free. Or in the diploma program, which is absolutely free, no registration costs at all. The diploma program doesn't require you to have any prerequisites, but it represents introduction to the topics. But the in-depth study is in the BA, which does require you to have a high school diploma or its equivalent, like the GED, in order for you to enroll and study. The Islamic Online University has the most diverse student body of any university in the world. We have students from 207 countries around the world. Also, our student numbers at this point is over 60,000 students. From the time we began our studies in 2007, 5 years have passed. We're now beyond 60,000 students. The BA program is 2 years old. We're now entering into our 3rd year, and we have over 3,000 students. We encourage you to take this opportunity. Share it with your family, your friends, your contacts. Study it along with your wife, with your sister, with your daughter or son. A family studying together the knowledge of Islam for the sake of Allah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sure. Okay. What's the plan?
I will begin with the first question in 1 moment. Small announcement, someone named Sidra Rafiq needs to be picked up at the front door at the entrance. Her car is over here. Right, we will proceed with the Q&A with the first question. If a spouse does not offer namaz and avoids discussions on it, what should I do?
I didn't hear the.
If a spouse does not offer namaz or salah and avoids discussions on it,
And avoid.
avoids discussion on it, what should I do? What would be the best course of action to take?
Okay, of course, we all know that salah is obligatory. If a husband or a wife refuses to pray, refuses to enter into any kind of discussion with regard to it, in other words, they feel it's their right not to pray, then this is grounds for annulment of the marriage. Because praying is one of the pillars of Islam. One who abandons prayer altogether, refuses it, rejects it, is in fact considered to be a non-Muslim. And this is based on statements of the Prophet ﷺ himself, in which he said, Al-ahd alladhi baynana wa baynahum as-salah, faman tarakahu faqad kafar. That the distinction between us and the disbelievers is salah. Whoever abandons it has become a disbeliever. So, as a Muslim is not allowed to be married to a disbeliever, with the exception of Jews and Christians, the marriage becomes annulled based on the prohibition of Muslims marrying non-Muslims. So, of course, back to the sister, what should she do? Well, she should seek annulment. She may have children and these kinds of things, but to raise children in that atmosphere is to raise them also not concerned about prayer, rejecting prayer, etc. So for the protection of your children, it's better for you to get out of that marriage and go back to your family, look after and raise your children, get remarried. I know in your culture here it's not too often that women get remarried, but you know, inshallah, believe that as the Prophet ﷺ had said, Man taraka shay'an lillah, awadahu Allahu khayran minhu. Whoever gives up something for the sake of Allah, Allah will replace it with what is better.
Very quickly, I want to share a few thoughts on that. Thank you, Sheikh, for that answer. However, some situations are not as simple as that. Some people do pray, like they pray Jummah, or they pray maybe 2 prayers a day or 3 prayers a day, and they're negligent towards other prayers. So if it's someone who is adamant, as the Sheikh stated, someone who is completely ignoring your pleas and your requests to start praying, because that is the ground to be married, of course. There's no doubt on that point. The Sheikh gave the evidence, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, وَمَنْ تَرَكَهَا فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. There is no going around that hadith. But if the situation is complicated, where the person wants to pray or does pray sometime, then it is better to work on the person with your love, compassion, mercy, your attention. Work on the person. And if you have hope in the person that this person has the potential to become a better person, then it is best to work on the person instead of seeking annulment straight away or right away. So I agree with the Sheikh, definitely. But then, depending on your situation, because situations vary, different people have different situations. If it's someone who says, I don't want to pray, or doesn't pray at all, then it is very unfortunate.
Thank you very much. Move on to the next question. Assalamu alaikum. What is your point of view on Eid Milad al-Nabi? Since it's a common practice here, is reciting the durood in reference to that all right or not? Eid Milad al-Nabi is the birthday.
He wants us to get killed.
I mean, it's okay if I say it. I'm not
Sheikh's flying out very soon, so you can answer this question. I'm joking. I'll quickly share my views, and the Sheikh can, inshallah, have it say. We Muslims, as far as the Muslims are concerned, we have only two Eids in Islam, what's called Eidain, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. These are the two Eids given to us by the Prophet ﷺ. To add another Eid into Islam, you will have to bring evidence. We are very happy. I mean, I, as a student of Islam, I will be more than willing to surrender, to submit, to accept any evidence from the Prophet ﷺ for a third Eid. So that's out of the question. With regards to Miladun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let me explain, let me clarify first that we as Muslims have to love the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is a condition of Iman to love the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than anyone in your life. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has to be the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because Rasulullah said in Sahih al-Bukhari, it has been reported from the Prophet in Kitab al-Iman, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين. You will not believe, none of you will believe until I become more beloved to you than your parents and your children and all of mankind put together. So this is clear. Every single Muslim who believes in Islam has to love the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, when some people say that because you don't celebrate the birthday of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't love him enough, this is false reasoning, right? Because those who claim to not celebrate it are doing it because they love the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who commanded us to follow him and not invent things into Islam. It is him who taught us these things. For that reason, we cannot add things into Islam. And those of you who want to not celebrate the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, you are perfectly justified in not doing so, because there is no evidence from the Prophet. Rasulullah ﷺ never celebrated his birthday. Yes, fasting on Monday. The reason Rasulullah ﷺ gave for fasting on Monday is because he was born on that day. So if you want to celebrate Rasulullah ﷺ's coming into the world, then fast on every Monday. No problem with that. There is evidence. Do it. Every Monday, fast. No problem. But celebrating a the birthday of the Prophet on the 12th of Rabiul Awwal is highly problematic. Rasulullah ﷺ was definitely passed away on the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, but there is no consensus among the scholars of Sirah whether he was actually born on the 12th. There is a difference of opinion among the scholars of Sirah. Some say he was born on the 9th, others say he was born on the 10th, some say he was born on the 12th. There is no consensus, there is no clear report as to when the Prophet ﷺ was born, on what date. We know he died ﷺ on the 12th of Rabiul Awwal. So it is a problematic thing to do anyway, celebrating his birthday ﷺ on the 12th. Yeah, over to you.
No. Right, we'll move on to the next question. This is specifically for Brother Adnan Rashid. What do you say about the attacks of Mahmud Ghaznavi? Are these acts of tyranny and cruelty? Does Islam allow this act of destruction of temples?
Okay, that's a very good question. Mahmud Ghaznavi was an invader into India, and I think one of the Pakistani missiles is called Ghaznavi, right? Yes? Ghori and Ghaznavi as well. There is something Ghaznavi as well. What is that, a tank or a missile? It's a missile, yeah? You know, Pakistani army, to taunt India, deliberately calls missiles and tanks, gives names. Ghori. Ghori was an invader into India from Afghanistan. His name was Shahabuddin Ghori. Ghaznavi was Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, was also an invader. And then we have Tipu as well, right? Tipu Sultan, right? And we have Al-Khalid tank, yeah? Babar as well, mashallah. Right, okay, there you go. So, Ghaznavi was an invader who was alive in the 10th century CE, and he was the ruler of Ghazna or Ghazni. He came into India a number of times. He established the first Muslim power hub in North India, and that was Lahore, by the way. A lot of people think that Delhi was established before Lahore. No, that's not true. Lahore is the first Muslim power hub in North India or Northern India. Muhammad bin Qasim, in the time of Hajjaj, Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he sent an army to India. Muhammad bin Qasim came from the south, from Sindh, and he didn't go beyond Sindh. His government remained in Sindh. The Arabs governed Sindh for 3 centuries, but there was no Muslim government in the north. So Mahmud Ghaznavi was the first invader to open India for Muslims. Now, when he was desecrating temples, was he doing something Islamic or was he doing something non-Islamic? Let me put it in another way. Temple desecration was an Indian phenomenon. It was not specifically a Muslim thing. It was an Indian phenomenon. Let me explain very quickly. There were Indian kings, Hindu kings, attacking the territories of other Hindu kings and destroying temples. Because temples in India were symbols of political power. Every single king had a deity he worshipped. For example, a king would worship Hanuman, or another king would be worshipping Ganesh. Another king would be a devotee of Kali, for example, the goddess, and the list goes on and on and on. And every single king put a lot of stress on the temples. The temples, our deity, are the cause of our success. So in order to subdue a territory, or in order to defeat a king, the other king who is invading has to or had to destroy the temple of that particular king, so that the morale of the army is completely destroyed. Have you seen this movie called Troy? Yes, mashallah. Troy, right? Brad Pitt. In Troy, in this movie, Brad Pitt, what happens? He's Achilles, right? The major fighter from the Greek side, right? What is the first thing he does when he lands on the beach? He goes to the temple and he basically decapitates Apollo, a statue of Apollo, because Apollo, this is how you destroy the morale of the other army. So Mahmud Ghaznavi, when he was coming into India, attacking temples, he wasn't doing it because he loved to destroy temples. He was doing it because temples were symbols of political power. So that's why I'm not justifying what he did, but this is how Indian historians, Hindu historians, have explained the phenomenon called temple desecration. And the list goes on, but I don't want to go into...
I would just like to add, I don't know the details of this aspect of the history, but realities are that when the Prophet ﷺ came into Mecca, he destroyed all of the idols of those who worshipped idols. That's the bottom line. In the Bible, it commands the prophets to destroy the idols of the idol worshippers. So he was perfectly justified from religious command. When Muslims went into Jerusalem, they didn't touch any of the synagogues of the Jews or churches of the Christians. They didn't touch them. But when Muslims went into other lands where people were worshipping idols, because this is the most debased state that you can reach, they destroyed those idols. The destruction of the temple itself, that's another issue. But destroying the idol that is there was a religious command. So I would like to think that Ghaznavi was fulfilling Allah's religious command while applying political principles along with it.
Now the Sheikh has opened another can of worms for me. So I have to contextualize. What the Sheikh is saying is correct, because Ghaznavi was Shafi. By inclination, he was following the Shafi'i madhab, right? He was, because Shafi'i madhab is considered to be a hawkish a school of thought in Islam. So what he was doing was, absolutely no doubt, even on his coins, when you pick up some of the coins of Mahmud Ghaznavi, his title is But Shikan in Persian, which means the breaker of the idols, right? No doubt, this view is there. But the other side of the coin, not the Ghaznavi coin, but in the discussion, the other side of the coin is that there are examples where the companions of the Prophet ﷺ left the temples and the idols of other civilizations completely untouched. So let me give you an example. I've been to Libya, I've been to Syria, I've been to a lot of these countries before the war, before the revolutions and all of that. And I have seen Roman idols, remains, their statues intact. For example, there is a city called Leptis, Magna. It is the second most or second best preserved site, Roman site in the world. And it's still standing. Those idols that were being destroyed by ISIS, the group we call Daesh in Iraq and Syria, had stood there for the last nearly 14 centuries. The Sahaba, the Tabi'een, and the Aimma, they all saw these idols. And they had the ability to destroy them systematically. They had the tools, they had the swords, they had the chisels, they had the hammers, but they left them untouched. And the Buddha of Afghanistan is a huge example, which was recently destroyed by Taliban. So what the Shaykh is talking about is correct. Within the Arabian Peninsula, no doubt, the Prophet ﷺ had commanded that two religions cannot coexist in the Arabian Peninsula. Only Islam is allowed in the Arabian Peninsula to flourish. Outside of the Arabian Peninsula, the Muslim armies went into different lands. They charged jizya. When the non-Muslim nations gave jizya, their temples, their places of worship were intact. In fact, there were Catholic churches or Coptic churches with images all over the place. In fact, some of the treaties Muslims agreed to with the Christians clearly state that your idols, your places of worship will not be touched. They will be unharmed. So there are two sides to the perspective Sheikh put there. It is correct. What the Sheikh said is a valid opinion within some schools of thought in Islam. But what we see in the majority, the action of the Sahaba and their followers, we see that they left the temples and the idols of other civilizations and nations untouched, so long as they were not used as political symbols. This is what I understand, and that's what my understanding is. Wallahu a'lam.
Right. The azan for the Isha prayer has happened, so we will have to move towards the Isha prayer right now. Thank you very much for all your questions, and inshallah we will return for the closing ceremony of SIST 2018. Thank you very much.
I'm okay with